I'd love to know, what motivated you kind of to begin your composing career, um, and maybe also talk about the other instruments that you play, and you also sing, and how that kind of all factors into the things that you write.
For sure. So I've been doing music, like involved in different ensembles since I was probably in like third grade. I started off in different choirs at my like elementary and middle schools and stuff like that. And choir has always been like the main consistent thing that I've just always been doing.
Mhm.
So I consider that to be my main instrument. But for like 6 years while I was in like K through 12, I played violin. I played cello for a couple of years in high school, along with baritone horn, which was really is an interesting mix. I was that kid who's like in every single ensemble. So that was pretty cool. When I started going to NYU, though, I started playing steel pan in the NYU steel pan ensemble. So I would count that as like another one of like my main instruments. And all of that kind of just like being surrounded by music all the time made me really interested in like how it comes together, like how do people come up with ideas and like actually get it written down on paper for people to play. So I guess all of those influences I say play like a pretty heavy role in like what I like to write and like my style, but like for myself in particularly, for myself in particular, um, I consider myself to be primarily like a songwriter. I
Wow.
hope that answered the question. I like,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
so when you write, I mean, how often is it that you include, you know, two or more of those instruments in what you write?
Um, I would say generally because I songwrite, it's just me and my guitar. So that's like always the core of what I start with. And I just, yeah, I tend to start writing in that way. When it comes to steel pan, I've done some arrangements with NYU Steel. I actually had one performed last year. It was an arrangement of Dang by Mac Miller, which was super fun. It'll be posted on the internet pretty soon. Um, so I've done like steel pan arranging, but I think something that I definitely do want to do in the future is like combine all of those things. I've always done them kind of like separately in their own different chambers, but I would love to kind of begin to combine some of those things in some like different and like interesting ways.
Hmm. Right, and um, that it was really interesting. I is the fact that you consider yourself a singer-songwriter, how does that, kind of infiltrate your own identity as a composer as well?
Hmm. I don't know. I think I bring a lot of like my physical voice into the music. Like I'm very interested in like words and like speaking and singing and stuff like that. So even if I do write instrumental music, there is normally some sort of like that element mixed in. I also feel like I'm someone who's heavily kind of drawn to like melody and heavy like repetition, which is I guess you could kind of say is like a characteristic of a lot of songwriting. Um, so I feel like whenever I move to different um, formations of like, or different like instrumentation, that's the word I'm looking for. Whenever I move to different instrumentations, I kind of bring that kind of influence with me. So you might hear some of that in this piece, especially like because it is like bass and voice.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all that. I kind of wanted to jump off, and so speaking of words, right? In this very initial draft, the title that we have here is "Everything Feels the Same." So I was wondering maybe we could talk a little bit about the meaning of what you wrote there.
For sure. I'm really bad at naming things. Whenever I like write, the name is normally the last thing that like comes to mind, and like sometimes it's just like a throwaway title. But for this, I feel like I was heavily influenced by like the times that we're living in now, where it's like everyone's staying at home, and like it's just this constant cycle of like literally I don't know what day it is. I'm just like working from home, doing the same sort of things every day, like trying to break up the monotony, like going out every now and then. So like even though we're living in like what everyone says like unprecedented times, it's like every single day just feels like the kind of same cycle. And even like zooming out from that, especially in the moment that we are in now with like all of these Black Lives Matter protests and things like that, it's like, again, things feel different. Like I feel like there's more of like a fire and a force like pushing forward for change, but at the same time it just feels like this cycle that like I've continued to like relive over and over and over.
Mm.
um so I guess it's everything feels the same, but everything feels like a little bit different, which is like kind of kind of definitely like paradoxical, but not paradoxical, it's an oxymoron, yeah. But that's just kind of like how I feel about things right now. It's just like everything feels the same every day, like it's the same grind. So yeah.
And so, I mean, and that, I definitely can relate. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's so much um, stasis, and yet there's so much influx at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, we're all kind of justifying those and feeling those feelings out, I guess, individually.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, why don't we maybe jump in to the piece a little bit?
for
Um,
sure.
how has your experience writing for bass been so far?
It's been really fun. I think it's like it's been fun and it's been challenging.
Mhm.
I think that it's something I've never done before. Um, so even just like that being a thing is kind of like daunting because I'm like, wow, I don't want this to be terrible. Like I'm stressed. But I think it's been fun in the way that I'm trying a lot of things that I've never tried before. And I feel like this is kind of a space where I get to experiment and like even if I like try something and it sucks, like at least now I know it sucks. And if I try something and it's great, like I know it's great now. So that to me is like really, really inspiring and like making this really fun for me.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's challenging just like one, knowing how things are gonna sound, especially being someone who will like write on my instrument and then move it to paper. Um, it's that, and then the other piece of that is just there's a lot of space to work with, and it's a lot of like thinking of like in my head I think this would work, but like I need to go ask the player like does this actually work for you. So that's been something that's like sometimes I go back and forth like should I write this down and just see if it can work, or if should I just like try and like not make a mistake before it happens. So that's what I've been going back and forth between, but I'm really excited and it's been really fun.
That's great. I mean, I think that's definitely the attitude to go for, with bass. And I think there sometimes there's a very kind of limited scope of like just pedagogical instruction, when it comes to writing for the bass. And I think I always tell people just to go for it,
Yeah,
and, most of the time I think it usually works out. I mean, in the case of what you wrote, I think it's going to be beautiful. Um, well, why don't we move over to? I'll play a little bit and demonstrate some things for you.
for sure.
I would love to maybe just talk to the audience about this key that you've written. Um, so, if anybody is familiar with, kind of a percussion score, a lot of the times the different lines of the staff will be a different instrument or a different sound, and that's very much what Sarian has done. On the very bottom, we have a palm slap, and then finger flutters, thumb slap, knock, finger sweep, and then a silent fingering, which I think all are going to work really well. Um, the thing, when I first look at a score and I have all these X's on here, um, for me, in addition to a key, um, it's nice personally for me to actually have the techniques written out um, the first time they happen in the actual score. Just because as a string player, um, we're not always used to seeing kind of all these things like signifying different sounds, and it's just nice to that I have those things in the very beginning, and then I kind of can intuit
For
um,
sure.
what we need to do, um, instead of kind of going back and forth all
Hmm.
the time. Um, like what I usually say to composers is, I'm probably just going to write them in anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so and then for the voice is actually that the key is totally fine because there's only two sounds. So that's very easy for me to kind of to learn very quickly. So we have a sharp inhale through the nose and then a sharp exhale through the mouth.
Mhm.
Um, the one, I mean, we'll try it here. The one thing I worry about with the inhale is if it's going to be loud enough.
Yeah, I was thinking
But
about that.
but we'll see, and if I'll try it, I'll try to make it like kind of as loud as we can, and if you're happy with that, if you know we can just keep it. If not, we can maybe think about something that's going to sound similar that's a little louder. Uh,
Yeah.
but why don't I just give it a shot, just for like maybe the first like couple of bars, just to give people a sense of how this goes. It might be a little under tempo. We'll see. Oops. So why don't we? I'll stop there for a second.
Yeah.
I so a couple things I love about this is it's this really kind of beautiful hocketed sound, and really like I the composite is just straight eighths, but since we have all these different sounds going on, it really creates this beautiful rhythmic kind of atmosphere, and I think it's
Yeah.
going to be very like evocative and very very successful. Um, I mean, tell me what you think about the inhale.
Mhm.
I mean, over Zoom it may be hard to tell, but
Yeah, I feel like right now I can hear it okay. My worry is that as it continues to progress and like there are more sounds, especially more like actual notes, it might start to get a little bit muddy in that way. It's also, yeah, I'm thinking a lot more about the breath because whenever you inhale, you also have to exhale and like get that air moving again. So I'm wondering like whether I want to choreograph that sound as well or like write that out. But I think that for now, keep it, and it might shift to maybe like a sharp inhale through the mouth.
sure.
Um, but yeah, it can be kind of awkward too because I was trying it at home. I was choking, like it was a lot. So we'll work it out. We'll see what happens. But
Okay,
I think the inhale for now is okay.
great, great. Why don't I continue maybe from there's a couple things in terms of my like delegating which hand does what. Um, so maybe I'll start at measure six, maybe a little under tempo, and I can kind of talk through um, how this is going to work. So here we go. Oh, and then excuse me, sorry, I'll start right on that. Um, and so then it goes on like that. The one thing that kind of that I struggled with just now was that so for this fingering note, um, it's I like the sound, and I think it's possible, and obviously this is just kind of going off at like a couple very 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 quick look at the piece. But so just if you can follow my hand and what I'm doing with what, so I'm plucking with my right hand, right, and I'm doing the knock and then the finger slay, finger sweep with my left hand. So and then when we get to the measure, which is measure 12, measure 13 here, I have that. And then the knock is here, and what I usually do with this hand, but then I have to go and finger it with this hand. So the thing is, with a little bit of practice, I could switch hands. But I just on first, experience with the piece, my instinct wants to keep this hand doing the same thing, right? And so, is it a little tricky? I could practice it, and I think it would work fine.
Mhm.
You know,
So I kind of wonder. So, quick question.
yeah.
So with the finger sweep sound, right? How I'm hearing it come across is like kind of like another like hit, right? And in my head, I was sort of imagining something that kind of sounds like that, like you're sweeping your hand across the surface. And so I wonder if there's like a better way or like better area to do that to get that sound. So I
Um,
wanted to know what you thought.
I wonder because what's there's a lot of different kind of ways we can attack the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think there may be the reason why is that we're getting a lot of the nail in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel so.
Yeah.
I could do it a little less intensely. Let's see. Actually, maybe. Actually, it's the nails that make the sound.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you're not too attached to this idea, what I could do is like, is that,
Yeah.
and
Maybe
just kind of
something just
with
like,
my palm,
mm-hmm.
kind of do that a little bit,
Yeah.
which I think would work.
Would it be possible to do with both hands, or is it kind of like awkward? Or
Uh,
like one hand on front, one on the side?
like this.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, right. Because I'm so you initially said that. Yeah, you said use both hands. I'm sorry, I missed that
It's
part.
okay. It's a lot to process.
Yeah. um, I think so. When
It could be. I might end up like replacing that with another breath then. Of
oh,
like you do the inhale and then that sweep would have been like the
oh,
exhale, maybe.
that I think that would be really nice. And then it kind of like equalizes what I'm doing.
Gives you, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so instead of the sweep, so why don't I try that for you? So kind of like kind of like what you had notated before. The
Yeah.
okay.
I like that a lot better. Yeah.
So that's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
getting goosebumps doing that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Love it.
I love that.
Oh,
Okay, I'm gonna write that in here, and I'll send all that to you. I think it's gonna be great. And then eventually we have.
mhm.
So we're kind of adding in those pitches. Um, my question to you, how is this in terms of volume for you? 'Cause-
The silent fingering?
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a little bit quiet.
okay.
Um, I'm just wondering, I guess, hmm. Yeah, I guess what affects like the volume? Like in general, is it always going to be like something that's pretty quiet, or like is there? I don't want you to like hurt yourself, but like is there a way to like really give it some force that way it's like a little bit louder?
Yeah,
Granted, this section will be probably like on the quieter side anyway, so
yeah.
yeah.
So I think in the context of the piece, it will be fine because it's just
Mhm.
me, and there's a lot. But there definitely are some dynamic limitations on this. I think generally the reason why they're on the quieter side is because I'm coming from something else.
Mhm.
So um, I think if I'm able to do, and then if I can place it like that, and then so that would be another exhale, I guess, or
Yeah.
not. It's definitely possible.
Okay.
I think you know what? Oh. Sorry, I just had a total because the reason why I was doing the finger splay on this hand
Okay.
was because, well, and the knock on this hand because of the finger thing. But
Yeah.
just doing the exhale, I could keep this
Um.
side the whole time.
Mhm.
Oh, so that solves our problem.
Amazing. It
Um,
always works like that, doesn't it?
um, yeah, so it'd be like kind of like a this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's actually fine. It takes a little bit of of computing on my
Mhm.
part, but I think it'll be fine. Um,
Hmm.
that's gonna be great. So and then we have so that's kind of that for that section here, and then
Mhm.
we have this really beautiful um, kind of 4+5/4 section here. Um, my one worry is measure 38 because I'm doing all of this stuff kind of on lower in the bass and in measure 37, right? So we have and then I have to go all the way up here,
Yeah.
which it works, and I
Mhm.
think but it requires a very like a lot of skill to kind of go from here,
All
and
the way down.
which is a little precarious, but it's
Hmm.
not impossible. So I don't want to say don't do it. Um,
Okay.
what I would say is I'm gonna play it for you in like just down an octave, and I'll just tell you like see what you think of how it sounds.
Okay.
Um, and I think not necessarily don't use the higher one, but maybe we could incorporate both in some
For
way.
sure.
Um, which I think has
Yeah.
kind of it's a very different personality. It
Hmm.
could be really beautiful too.
Oh,
Um,
I love it. I think
so
it's very like, I think it's more in like it's less in like the stressed out part of the register, more in the like
exactly,
sing-songy kind of body of it.
exactly. I'm just gonna maybe play you starting from 33 for a little bit.
Okay.
That those three lines work beautifully. Um,
Oh, I love it. Yay. I
it's
have thoughts, but yeah, that was so beautiful.
oh yeah, it's really gorgeous writing. Tell me your thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah. So, okay. I think that so I definitely think measure 36 can come down.
Okay,
And even probably, yeah, I think 37 and 36 and 38 can probably come down. The last two beats of 38, I just forgot to fill those in. I was going to, I don't know what happened. Um,
was
but
famous before.
yeah, I definitely think those could come down. But I wanted to say for measure 37, I meant for all of those to be pits. So could I hear that way? Because but I do like how you played it. So that's the only reason why I'm like, let's go back and let's see what it sounds like.
Like this?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that's beautiful. Um, why don't I try it just from there? The um.
Okay.
Oh, I'm supposed to hold the G. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, but I think that sounds lovely. Just like probably not in that place. So I'm probably gonna move that. Maybe that'll be like the ending of that section. But
Sure.
that sounds so lovely. Even voted sounded good. So, oh, I'm so happy. I was so stressed. You don't even know. Like,
Well, I'm happy I can alleviate some tension. You know? So my question, so for I didn't really mention yet, but so this is a draft. So there's a lot of sections that um, that you're working on kind of transitions or filling
Mm-hmm.
in or by adding sections, taking them away. Um, and I think it's a really cool place to kind of showcase where you're at to the audience because it's this is really kind of a look inside um, the construction, right? So
Yeah.
so um, so like kind of our last kind of playing question as we kind of wrap up this segment is where do you see this going? Is there kind of um, is which sections maybe are going to be expanded upon? Are you thinking about
Mhm.
something new? You know.
Yeah, I feel like I'm I'm not fully sure of like the entire structure of everything. Like I think normally when I start writing, I just like go by like emotions or like kind of scenes that I see in my head. And so like the way that I imagine this piece is just kind of this like almost like super breathy, like you're running and like it's just very everything feels kind of intense or like cyclical and very intense. That's I'll go with that, right? So I'm trying to kind of play off of that. I definitely want to expand this more like lyrical section as well as the percussive section and kind of have them all relate because right now they're like loosely related. I'm trying to like how do you call it? Build that bridge so they connect. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, like when it's done, I want people to. I just want it to feel very like emotional, which is like a very vague term, but like for me, I guess emotional just means like I don't know. We're going through it. We're going through a lot. That's what I kind of want to communicate. Yeah.